Hello my YouTube family. I can see 90% of my viewers don't subscribe while watching videos. Please hit the subscribe button and like this video. Press that bell icon for notifications. And tell me in the comments from which city you are watching. Your support means everything to me. My name is Arya. And the moment Daniel called my startup a hobby, I knew exactly how I would destroy him. What he did not know was that his own investors were already watching me. Let me take you back to that night. The night that changed everything. We were sitting in his penthouse apartment. The one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. Daniel had just poured himself another glass of his expensive Bordeaux. The kind that costs more than most people make in a week. I was excited. My heart was racing with anticipation as I prepared to share my vision with the man I thought loved me. For months, I had been working on something revolutionary. A platform that would connect small artisans from around the world with buyers who appreciated authentic, handcrafted goods. It was more than just an e-commerce site. It was a bridge between cultures, a lifeline for struggling artists, a movement that could change how we think about global commerce. But when I started explaining my idea, Daniel's expression shifted. That familiar smirk spread across his face, the one that made my stomach twist with dread. "That is cute," he said, swirling his wine with practiced arrogance. "But it is just a hobby, not a real business. Investors want something serious." Those words hit me like a physical blow. I felt my chest tighten, my breath catch in my throat. The excitement I had been feeling moments before crashed down around me like shattered glass. "A hobby," I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. Daniel leaned back in his leather chair, completely oblivious to the devastation he had just unleashed. "Look, Arya, I appreciate that you want to help people and all that. But real business is about scalability, about market dominance, about serious money. What you are describing sounds more like a charity project than an investment opportunity." I sat there in stunned silence, watching this man I had shared my bed with, my dreams with, my future with, completely dismiss everything I had worked for. The worst part was not just his words, but the casual way he delivered them, as if my dreams were so insignificant that they barely deserved his attention. "You just do not understand the market," he continued, taking another sip of his wine. "I have been in this game for years. I know what investors are looking for. They want the next big tech disruption, not some feel-good marketplace for craft projects." Feel-good marketplace. Craft projects. Each word was like a knife twisting deeper into my heart. But something else was happening too. Beneath the hurt, beneath the humiliation, something darker was taking root. A cold, calculating fury that would change both of our lives forever. "Maybe you are right," I said quietly, forcing a smile that felt like swallowing glass. "Maybe I should focus on something more realistic." Daniel nodded approvingly, completely missing the dangerous glint in my eyes. "That is my girl. You are smart, beautiful, talented. You could do so much better than wasting your time on pipe dreams." That night, after Daniel fell asleep, I sat in his kitchen with my laptop. The city lights twinkled below like stars that had fallen to earth. And I made a decision that would reshape our entire world. I would not abandon my dream. I would prove him wrong in the most devastating way possible. The next morning, I threw myself into my work with an intensity that bordered on obsession. While Daniel slept in, I was already at my computer, coding, researching, building. Every spare moment became an opportunity to develop my platform. Every rejection became fuel for my determination. I started small, reached out to local artisans, convinced them to trust me with their livelihoods. Maria, a ceramic artist from New Mexico who had been struggling to sell her pieces beyond her hometown. James, a woodworker from Oregon whose intricate furniture deserved a global audience. Priya, a textile artist from India whose embroidery work was nothing short of magical. One by one, they joined my platform. And slowly, painfully slowly, sales began to trickle in. Daniel never asked about my work anymore. He was too busy with his own ventures, particularly his latest investment in a tech firm called Next Gen Solutions. It was exactly the kind of company he loved, all flash and buzzwords, backed by 3 major venture capital firms with names that carried weight in Silicon Valley. At dinner parties, Daniel would hold court, boasting about NextGen's revolutionary approach to consumer data analytics. He would throw around terms like machine learning optimization and predictive consumer modeling, like they were magical incantations that would summon success from thin air. "We are going to dominate the market," he would say, his chest puffed with pride. "My partners at Meridian Capital, Apex Ventures, and Sterling Investment Group, they see the vision. This is not some small-time operation. This is the future." I would smile and nod, playing the supportive girlfriend while inside. My own plans were crystallizing. Because what Daniel did not know, what he could not have imagined, was that his revolutionary company was already watching me. 3 months after that devastating night in his apartment, something incredible happened. A lifestyle blogger with 2 million followers stumbled across my platform and fell in love with a set of hand-painted ceramics from Maria. She posted about it. And suddenly, my website crashed from the traffic surge. In 24 hours, I went from processing dozens of orders per day to processing thousands. My phone would not stop ringing. Artisans from around the world were begging to join my platform. Buyers were placing orders faster than I could process them. But I did not tell Daniel. Not yet. Instead, I watched him continue his nightly performances, bragging about NextGen's projected growth while completely oblivious to the empire I was building right under his nose. That was when they reached out to me. Marcus Chun from Meridian Capital, the same Meridian Capital that was bankrolling Daniel's precious NextGen solutions. "We have been monitoring your growth," Marcus said during our first phone call. "What you have built is extraordinary. The organic engagement, the international reach, the sustainable business model. This is exactly what the market needs right now." My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. "I am flattered by your interest, but I am not looking to sell." "Who said anything about selling?" Marcus laughed. "We want to invest. We want to help you scale globally. But more than that, we want to learn from you. Your approach to authentic consumer connection. It is something we have been trying to replicate for months." That was when I knew Daniel's world was about to crumble. Over the next few weeks, I had meetings with all 3 of Daniel's investor groups. Not just Marcus from Meridian, but also Victoria Sterling from Sterling Investment Group and David Park from Apex Ventures. Each meeting was more revealing than the last. "NextGen has promise," Victoria admitted during our coffee meeting. "But their user acquisition costs are astronomical. They are burning through cash trying to buy market share. While you have built genuine brand loyalty organically, that is infinitely more valuable." David was even more direct. "Between you and me, we are getting nervous about NextGen. Their metrics look good on paper, but when you dig deeper, the engagement is shallow. People use their platform once or twice and then disappear. Your users, they become evangelists. They bring their friends. They build communities. That is the kind of sustainable growth we really want to back." I listened to every word, absorbing every detail, building my strategy piece by piece. The brilliant part was not just that Daniel's investors wanted to back me. It was that they were already looking for an exit strategy from NextGen. The company Daniel thought was destined for greatness was actually hemorrhaging money and losing investor confidence by the day. So I made them an offer they could not refuse. "I do not want your money as additional investment," I told them during a joint meeting at Meridian's downtown offices. "I want you to pull your funding from NextGen and reinvest it in my company. All of it. Complete divestment." The room went silent. Marcus, Victoria, and David exchanged glances that spoke volumes. "That is aggressive," Victoria said finally. "It is strategic," I corrected. "NextGen is a sinking ship. You know it. I know it. The only question is whether you want to go down with them, or whether you want to be part of something that will actually change the world." I presented them with my expansion plans, my vision for not just connecting artisans with buyers, but for creating a global network of sustainable, ethical commerce. I showed them my user retention rates, my profit margins, my international growth potential. But most importantly, I showed them my passion. The fire that Daniel had tried to extinguish, but had only made burn brighter. 3 days later, I had my answer. Marcus called me personally. "We are in," he said. "Full divestment from NextGen. Complete investment in your vision. Welcome to the big leagues, Arya." That night, I sat in my small apartment. The same one Daniel always said I should upgrade once I started making real money. And I smiled. Tomorrow, Daniel's world would come crashing down. And he would finally understand what real business looked like. The next morning, NextGen's CEO received 3 phone calls within an hour of each other. Meridian Capital, Sterling Investment Group, and Apex Ventures, all pulling their funding immediately. Contractual obligations meant they could not divest overnight, but they triggered every early withdrawal clause in their agreements. By noon, news of the massive investor pullout had leaked to the tech blogs. NextGen's stock price, already shaky, went into free fall. I was in my office when Daniel called me. My new office, in a sleek downtown building, with my company name painted in bold letters on the door. "Arya." His voice was shaking. Do you know anything about what happened to NextGen today?" I could picture him perfectly, probably pacing around his penthouse, his usually perfect hair disheveled, his expensive suit wrinkled from stress. "I heard there was some investor drama," I said casually, reviewing the latest sales figures on my computer screen. "That is unfortunate." "Unfortunate?" His voice cracked. "Arya, this is a disaster. Meridian, Sterling, Apex, they all pulled out. We are finished. The company is going to collapse." "I am sorry to hear that. Daniel." "Really?" There was a long silence on the other end of the line. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Smaller. More desperate. "Wait. Arya. Where are you calling from? There is an echo." "My office." "Your office? What office?" "My company office. Daniel. The headquarters of my little hobby business." Another silence. Longer this time. I could practically hear the pieces clicking together in his mind. "Arya. What did you do?" "I built a real business. Daniel. The kind that serious investors want to back. The kind that changes the world. The kind you said was impossible." "The investors, they went to you?" "They came to me, Daniel. Turns out, they were looking for something authentic. Something sustainable. Something that actually mattered. Everything you said my hobby was not." I heard him take a shaky breath. "You planned this. You destroyed my company." "I did not destroy anything, Daniel. I simply gave your investors a better option. They made their choice based on what they thought was the smarter investment. Apparently, my little craft project was more appealing than your revolutionary data analytics." The phone went quiet for so long I thought he had hung up. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I was wrong about you. About your company. I am sorry. Arya. I am so sorry. But sorry was not enough. Not anymore. Daniel." I said, my voice steady and cold. "Do you remember what you told me that night? When I shared my dream with you? Arya, please. You said investors want something serious. You were right. They do. They want sustainable growth. They want authentic user engagement. They want companies that solve real problems for real people. They want businesses built on passion and vision, not just buzzwords and projections." I know I was wrong. You were not just wrong, Daniel. You were cruel. You took something I cared deeply about, something I had poured my heart into, and you dismissed it like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. I could hear him crying now. Actual tears. The man who had seemed so confident, so untouchable, was falling apart. "What can I do?" he whispered. "How can I fix this?" "You cannot, Daniel. Some things, once broken, cannot be repaired." I hung up the phone and immediately blocked his number. Over the next few weeks, I watched NextGen Solutions collapse completely. Without their major investors, they could not meet their operational costs. Employees started jumping ship. Clients canceled contracts. Within a month, The company that Daniel thought would dominate the market was nothing but a bankruptcy filing and a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, my business exploded globally, with Meridian, Sterling, and Apex backing me. I opened offices in London, Tokyo, and Sao Paulo. I hired a team of brilliant engineers, marketing specialists, and cultural liaisons. My platform became the go-to destination for authentic, handcrafted goods from around the world. Maria, the ceramic artist from New Mexico, was now running her own studio with 12 employees. James, the woodworker from Oregon, had a 6-month waiting list for his custom furniture. Priya, the textile artist from India, had opened 3 workshops in different cities, employing dozens of local artisans. But the most satisfying moment came 6 months later, when I was invited to speak at the Global Innovation Summit, the same conference where Daniel had given a presentation about NextGen just the year before. I stood on that stage, looking out at an audience of investors, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders, and I told my story. Not the sanitized version, but the real story. The story of how I had turned personal betrayal into business triumph. 18 months ago, I began. Someone I trusted told me my business idea was just a hobby. He said investors wanted something serious, something real. He was right about one thing. Investors do want something real. They want companies built on genuine value, not empty promises. They want businesses that create meaningful change, not just impressive presentations. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. Today, that same business he called a hobby employs over 300 people globally. We have connected over 10,000 artisans with buyers in 47 countries. We have generated over $50 million in revenue for creators who were previously locked out of global markets. And we are just getting started. The applause was thunderous. But I was not finished. The person who called my company a hobby, his business collapsed 6 months ago. Not because he was not smart. Not because he did not work hard. But because he built something hollow. Something without soul. Something designed to impress rather than to serve. I paused, letting that sink in. The lesson here is not about revenge. Though I would be lying if I said vindication does not feel good. The lesson is about believing in your vision, even when the people closest to you do not. The lesson is about building something real. Something that matters. Something that changes lives. After my speech, I was surrounded by reporters, investors, and entrepreneurs wanting to know more about my journey. But the moment that mattered most came when I was walking to my car. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. But I recognized the area code. It was Daniel. I watched your speech online. You were incredible. I am proud of you. Even though I have no right to be, you proved that dreams are not hobbies. They are blueprints for changing the world. I am sorry it took losing everything for me to understand that. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me, a very small part, felt a flicker of the old affection I had once felt for him. But it was quickly overwhelmed by something much stronger. The knowledge of who I had become without him. I deleted the message without responding. Today, 2 years after that devastating night in Daniel's apartment, my company is valued at over $200 million. We have revolutionized how the world thinks about authentic commerce. We have created sustainable livelihoods for thousands of artisans. We have built something beautiful and lasting and real. Daniel, last I heard, was working for a mid-level consulting firm, trying to rebuild his reputation one small project at a time. I do not hate him anymore. Hate requires energy I would rather invest in my business, my team, my mission. But I also do not forgive him. Some words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. Some wounds, once inflicted, leave permanent scars. What Daniel taught me, though he certainly did not intend to, was that the people who dismiss your dreams are often the people who have given up on their own. His cruelty was not really about my business. It was about his fear that I might succeed where he had failed to find real meaning in his work. He was right about one thing. Investors do want something serious. They want companies that solve real problems, that create genuine value, that build lasting connections between people. They want businesses that matter. My hobby, as he called it, mattered. It mattered to Maria and James and Priya, and thousands of other artisans whose lives were changed by having access to global markets. It mattered to buyers who were hungry for authentic, meaningful products in a world full of mass-produced nonsense. It mattered to investors who wanted to back companies with soul as well as profit potential. But most of all, it mattered to me. It was my dream, my vision. My refusal to accept that meaningful work and financial success had to be mutually exclusive. The night Daniel called my startup a hobby, he thought he was teaching me a lesson about business reality. Instead, he taught me something far more valuable: that the people who try to limit your dreams are usually the ones who have accepted limitations in their own lives. I refused to accept those limitations. I refused to believe that caring about people and making money could not coexist. I refused to let someone else define what was possible for me. And in refusing, I built something extraordinary. Sometimes, late at night in my office, when I am reviewing the latest growth figures or reading emails from artisans whose lives have been transformed by our platform, I think about that moment. That moment when Daniel smirked and dismissed my dreams as a hobby. I wonder what would have happened if I had listened to him, if I had accepted his judgment and moved on to something more realistic. I wonder how many brilliant ideas die because someone who should be supportive chooses to be dismissive instead. But I do not wonder for long, because I have work to do. Real work. Serious work. The kind of work that changes the world one authentic connection at a time. My name is Arya, and I turn my hobby into an empire. Not for revenge, though that was satisfying. Not for money, though that has been rewarding. But for something much more important. For proof that dreams dismissed by small minds can still grow into something magnificent. Daniel was wrong about many things, but he was right about one. Investors do want something serious. They want something real, something meaningful, something that lasts. Funny how a hobby can deliver all of that. And rewrite someone else's story too. If this story of turning dreams into reality inspired you, please subscribe to our channel for more incredible tales of triumph over adversity. Your support helps us share these powerful stories with the world.